Welcome to Health Coach for Women. Intentional living for more happiness and fulfillment in your everyday life with your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker. Join Marsha as she shares her own personal wellness journey, as well as stories from our guests that will enlighten and inspire you to move towards better health and happiness. Now, here's your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker.
Tuning in today on this episode of Health Coach for Women. And today I'll be talking about managing your emotions. How do you manage your emotions? Are you in control of your emotions? Or do you even show emotions? How we deal with our emotions plays an important part in how we react in certain situations. Being able to manage that so that we don't make wrong decisions or decisions in haste, but to make better decisions, right? We're definitely able to make better choices when we are able to manage our emotions or leave our emotions out of it altogether. So, for example, I'll give you an example of such as purchasing a home, right? Purchasing a home. You can find a lovely, beautiful home. It's all what you've been looking for. It has that great kitchen, that great Eden kitchen, island kitchen, stainless steel appliances. I mean, it's just beautiful. Right? And you're so attached to this home. This is the home that you want, right? Because you're so attached to your emotions, your feelings is attached to this house, this particular house. But when you find out maybe the price of the home, it's not within your budget, but you want this house. So will you now say, okay, I'm going to work double time, triple time, because I want to get this house. So you if you've ever purchased a home before, you know that it had your debt to income ratio. It has to be a certain amount. I forget offhand what it's supposed to be, but I forget. So you can't be attached, right? You can't be attached when making decisions based on emotions. It could be costly, right? I'll give you another example. What about when you're arguing with your spouse or your mate, right? Because we're going on emotions. But if we take the time to just simply pause and gather your thoughts, or simply just take a moment, and say, take a breather, as they say, take a breather and just let things simmer down and not react when we're angry. Right? Because when we're angry, sometimes we say things that we don't mean, and sometimes we may do things that we don't mean, at that moment. It's just because you're angry at that moment. It's like you're driving and someone cuts you off on the highway or on the street or whatever, especially in places like those busy places like New York, where I'm from, originally. The light, any one of you from New York knows that once you turn the light, before the light turned green, they're already blowing the horn for you to keep moving, to go, right? That's how it was now. Maybe it's not like that so much now since this whole COVID situation. But the point I'm trying to make is that out of anger, and we know what road rage can do, right? We know what road rage can do, where people have done some crazy things, taking someone's dog and throw them onto the highway, or pull out a gun and shoot the other person because they cut them off, or they're driving too slow. It's like people are dealing with so much stress, and they don't know how to manage it. They don't know how to handle it. And so our emotions can get in the way and can really sometimes cost us, right? Even cost us our life at times if we don't manage our emotions properly, if we don't get them in check, so to speak. So how can we do that? How can we manage our emotions? You know, and it comes from being mindful. You know, it comes from taking a moment to just sit and think, or just gather your thoughts, and having that moment of just pure silence. You know, having that pure moment of silence and stillness where you just need to take a moment to just calm down and see what really matters. Does it really matter that the person cut you off? Oh yeah, the person could have caused an accident, yes, but thankfully you're okay, everyone's okay. Does it really matter, maybe that your spouse did something or said something to kind of upset you and tick you off? It doesn't really matter, because we're not in control of anyone else's feelings, thoughts, habits, or behaviors. The only thing that we have control over is our own habits and behaviors, how we manage and how we react to situations. So it comes from being mindful, being more aware, take notice, right? Take notice when you find yourself beginning to get upset. Or take notice of when you're beginning to, or if you're just a little too sensitive, right? Or just a little too emotional, right? Where now a person can be, don't get me wrong, a person can be emotional in a sense where they're just so passionate about a certain thing. They're just so passionate about what they're doing, and then you can have some emotions of tears of joy. That's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that at all. That's a good expression. But anything that takes you to a dark place, anything that takes you out of who you are, out of your character and who you are, it's time to take notice of you. Not to take notice of the other person, because again, you only can control yourself. You can only control yourself and how you feel, and your thoughts, your emotions, and how you react. You have no control over anyone else. We can only control ourselves. So being mindful of that, when you find yourself beginning to get upset, and just take a moment of just the pure silence, just be quiet, just, that stillness, and some good things. There's some books on mindfulness that you can read. And there's also things you can do for like meditation, like to help you with that, especially if you are somebody who is very hot-tempered, living in a place where it's in a stressful environment, where it's, like if you're somewhere maybe like California, New York, Atlanta, that traffic is just awful, right? Horrible traffic. A 30-minute or 15-minute ride can take you 30 to 40 minutes, right? So, I lived in Atlanta and I lived in New York. So I know about the traffic and how the roads are. So these things can be, that stress can take a toll on you after a while, right? And that's why some people get upset and they have that road rage, and some ways of managing that when you're stuck in traffic. Listen to something that you enjoy, whether it's some personal development, whether it's an audio book. I know when I used to travel back and forth to work, the ride took me about an hour each day. Without the traffic, it probably only took about maybe 30 minutes, but an hour each day going back and forth to work. I just began to start listening to some motivational speakers, right? Some motivational speakers on my way in, heading to and from work each day. And that's how I made it through. That's how I got through it. For somebody else, it's maybe, listening to the music, or like I said, an audio book, or, maybe nothing at all, where you just in thought with things, right? So only thing with that, you have to be a little bit careful because your mind can wander. So, and you can probably daydream or something. You don't want to have an accident. But whatever works for you, whatever works for you to help you to be able to manage that, right? And manage that where you're not stressed out and you're not reacting out of anger, but you're responding in a way that it's more beneficial to you. It's more positive. It's more productive. You see leaders all the time, right? And they go after each other, bashing each other, and bringing up things from the past and all of that stuff about whatever. I'm not into the politics like that, but you'll see that's what they do, right? And they want to go into somebody's past and they want to bring up that stuff because they want to, of course, to sway the votes maybe their way, of course, but to because they're acting from a place of the ego, right? And they want to try to tarnish the other person's and assassinate that person's character, right? So sometimes people will do things that's not always the best thing. That's not always the best choices, right? And so what happens when we get angry, at someone, like I said, a spouse, partner, or whatever, you may say things that you don't mean. You may say something hurtful because at that moment you want to hurt them, right? And that's not a good way to do it. That's not a good way to go about it. And it's about being open and communicating. It's about listening to the other person, right? Hearing what the other person has to say and hearing, right? Hearing without being judgmental because you don't like what they're saying. And especially if they're saying something that's the truth, because sometimes we don't want to hear the truth about ourselves, but we need to know the truth and accept what that truth is, right? That's that person's truth. Now, it could be something that's really true about you and who you are, right? And that's why we are all a work in progress. But at the same time, right, that's that person's perspective. You don't let anyone, define you. You're not defined by anyone, so you have to be able to come out of that thought process, come out of that and reframe it in a way that's more pleasing, that's more joyful, that's more positive, that's more effective, right? Because there's a positive way, a better way that you can get what it is that you want, right? Without having the emotional part come into play to get results by doing something that's negative, by saying something that's hurtful, right? And so we have to always be mindful. And that's so when you find yourself, and that's why it's important, but before you just react to what a person has to say, because sometimes people will test you and will test your patience and to see how far they can push you because they want to break you. They want to see how far they can get you and to take you there, So what you have to do is it's not about them. It's not about them at all. It's not about the other person. It's about you. It's about you and what's more healthier for you, what's more beneficial for you and what you're doing for your life and how you manage your thoughts, right? And managing your behavior and how you react to certain situations. So again, I can't stress it enough. It's about being more mindful and taking that moment to just reflect. Take a moment to pause and reflect and to, before you open up your mouth, before you respond, communicate in a way that is effective. You communicate in a way that's not the word that I'm looking for, that's not attacking the other person, if you understand what I'm saying. So you're not coming at a person, attacking them and saying, you and what you did and what you did. You have to, that's why it's listening and communicating is so important, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's in your friendship, whether it's at work. it's important to be able to listen to the other person. Listen to the other person without interrupting them. Listen to the other person without judging how they are speaking. Yes, because the tone, body language says a lot, right? And your tone says a lot as well, right? So that's important. And so you want to be yourself. You want to be who you are, but you want to come across in a way that you're able to have your message heard, right? Without the other person being offended by what you're saying. So sometimes we have to maybe soften our tone or speak in a tone, a level tone where you're not yelling, right? Because if you're yelling, well, that sends a different message because everybody wants to be heard, right? So you have to be mindful of that and pay attention to, okay, listen to how your sound, your voice is elevating, right? You want to get your point across. And sometimes what we have to do is just let the other person speak. Let them speak without interrupting. And anything that you need to address, or you feel that you need to clarify, or you feel that you need to set the record straight on whatever the misinformation could be, right? Or the false information, or something that was inaccurate, right? You just bring it to that person's attention. So, being able to manage your temper, controlling yourself, by not just being mindful, but putting yourself in a place of peace, putting yourself in a place of feeling that peace. And, some people are saying, well, how the heck can I get peace if I'm around somebody, 24/7 or 8 hours a day, especially now, right? Now that you're home, you're around everybody, with the kids, your spouse, your mate, whatever, it's like, okay, you have to see these people every day, but, so how can I better cope with this, dealing with this every day, dealing with the different personalities and dealing with, everybody being in a house all at once. Make it fun, make it fun. Everything doesn't have to be so serious, and, have fun with the kids while you're home. Do those things. Have fun with the kids while you're home. Have fun with your spouse, your mate while you're at home. Do the things that's fun. Do the things that you've been wanting to do, and not reacting to certain situations. Someone cuts you off on the road, be like, oh, I guess he's in a hurry. So, hey, he's in a rush to go somewhere. I'm not, and I get cut off, a lot often. So, because I'm not in a rush. I leave if I have an appointment or have to be somewhere. I'm leaving, and my plan is to be there 15 minutes early. So I'm not in that stress mode when I leave my house. I'm not in stress mode. And if there's any maybe detours or anything like that, I have a little bit of extra time, a little bit of leeway to get me to where I'm going, and without the stress. You know what I mean? So if I get cut off, I'm not upset, and I'm not going to go and run and go rush in front of the other person, to cut them off back and to get them back, or throw a drink at them in their car, something like that, So you can't do that. You just have to, all you're doing is raising your blood pressure up. All you're doing is raising your cortisol levels up. You have to look at it like that. You can't allow someone else to have that effect on you. And no, it's not something that'll come overnight. It's not something that's just going to happen, like over the next 24 hours. It's something you have to do daily. It's something you have to work on daily, and I tell you, I mean, I can remember before, I would get upset. Especially when I'm trying to drive the speed limit and someone else is getting mad at me because I'm not going fast enough, or they're cursing me out, or they're giving me the finger, and I'm reading their lips and they're calling me the B word. Oh, that would infuriate me. It used to infuriate me, so much that I would want to drive up faster and want to curse them out back then, the old me back then. So and that's why relocating was a good thing for me, because it really helped me to get out of the hustle and bustle, to slow it down. Everything is not a rush. What is it to rush to? You rush into to what? You need to get to work. You need to pay your bills. You need to go to work. Fine. Get up a few minutes earlier. Save yourself the stress. Manage your emotions. Control your emotions by doing little simple things. Someone curse you out. Oh, okay, they're having a bad day. Maybe he's really going through something, because what did I do so bad to really get this person upset? They're going through something. Sometimes it's not even about you. Sometimes people are just in their own world, because everybody are going through their own things right now. People have lost family members. People have gotten sick. People have died. People are going through depression, anxiety. People are facing eviction. People are going through a lot of different things right now. So we can't focus on that. We can't focus on, okay, if someone is upset with you, or if someone, like I said, cut you off in traffic, or someone at work is snappy, or they're nasty and rude, you can't focus on that. I say kill them with kindness. Get back at them by killing them with kindness. Give them no reaction. And that really, for some people, that really gets them upset. When they can't get a reaction out of you, when they can't get a reaction that they want out of you, because they want you to be upset with them. They're going through their own misery and whatever they're going through in their life, and they want you to be miserable too. Don't feed into that. Don't do it. Don't feed into it. It's not worth it. It's really not worth it. And now with this whole thing that's going on, we need to keep ourselves together, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. Right? We need to keep ourselves, our bodies at that homeostasis. We need to keep everything balanced. We need to keep everything with our bodies and our health in a place of harmony. Right? That's a good word that I like to use. To be in harmony with our bodies, be in harmony with everything that's going on with our bodies and in our mind, with our health, with our finances. Like, we need to have everything not where everything is 100%, right? Everything is not going to always be 100%. We know that life happens, right? Life happens. But being in a place where you're in harmony, you can't focus on those things. You want to keep this, I don't want to say balance, I like to say harmony, where, you're doing the best you can to ease your tension, to relieve your stress, and finding your ways to cope and adapt during these times. Let's take everything and turn everything into a positive situation, more optimism, right? Being more optimistic about things, right? And that help us to be able to control our emotions, right? And if you find yourself where you're crying every day because you're watching the TV and listening to the news all the time about who was shot and murdered on the news, and the politics and the COVID of people who's dying, it's time to turn the TV off. It's time to unplug. It's time to unplug from social media. It's time to unplug from all those things. Take a break off of social media. Take a break. Take a break from the news. Find something and I've talked about this before in previous episodes, but I have to bring it up again because so many people are still stuck in that dark place. Don't stay stuck in that dark place. Find your light, find your light, your energy of positivity and goodness, what you can put out to a world. Do you know the difference that makes it to just walk past someone, a total stranger, and smile and say hello? You don't know what that person could be going through. And you just taking the time to say hello or giving them a compliment. Oh, that's a beautiful dress. Oh, that's a nice hat or something. It goes a long way. Or for people to notice you and say something nice to you, that's also very nice, and it's okay to receive a compliment and accept that and be grateful that someone thought of you and said something nice for you. You're not looking for it, but the fact that they did that and noticed you, that says a lot, right? So be grateful, right? And I know this episode is not on gratitude, but that's a part of it too. It's being grateful as well. And having this mindset of just being positive, being mindful, being aware, right? Self-awareness, right? Being more aware of yourself, the things that you do, being in tune and listening to the signs that your body may be sending you, your being in tune with your emotions. There's nothing wrong with being in tune with your emotions. You're a human being. So we have emotions. We have joy. We have sadness. We have laughter. We have anger, right? We have fear. We have all these different emotions, right? And feelings and thoughts and just, if you can just be at a place where you're just being free to be you with all your imperfections, being free to just be you, right? And just being able to accept you and your flaws, whatever flaws that you may have, right? Because it's not about being perfect. It's about being better. And a part of being better are managing those negative emotions, those emotions that's operating on a lower frequency where, it's not serving you. It's not serving you in any shape, way, or form. So when someone is coming at you with something nasty and unpleasant, sometimes it doesn't even dignify a response. It doesn't even warrant a response. Okay, so you have to be able to, or you can be what they call it, nice nasty, but you don't even have to respond. You can just kill them with kindness. Oh, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. You're entitled to your own view and opinions, and it has no reflection or bearings on who you are. It has no reflections or bearings on who you are. Get to know you. When you get to know you, you already know your own flaws. You know you. You know yourself, right? Get to know yourself. Get to know who you are and being okay with those flaws and knowing that that's what you have to work on. Because every day, right, is not going to be this great, fabulous, fantastic day. Every day is not going to be, everything is, peaches and cream, right? So it's just being able to get through the emotions, being able to be in tune with those emotions and learning how to manage them in a way where they don't cause you stress, right? So it's managing those emotions where it doesn't cause stress on your body and begin to weaken your immune system. And that's why it's so important. I always say that it's important to put you first. You can't give from an empty cup. You have to put you first. So that's pretty much all I have for you today on this episode. To please just be more mindful, just be more mindful of how you are with your emotions. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to have that experience of laughter. It's good for the soul. All those things are good for the soul. And sometimes we get upset. That's okay. That's okay to get upset. Sometimes we're human, that's okay. But let's be mindful again in how we react to certain situations, how we react and how we respond, because a lot of decisions that can cost us big time is from making better decisions when we are in the right frame of mind, when we're not under the emotion of being egotistical, operating from the ego, being angry and upset, being spiteful and resentful. Those things are not good. It's not good for you, nor is it good for the other person. So I hope you benefited from something out of this podcast today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stay tuned, stay happy, stay blessed. Continue to eat well, be well, strive to be better. Okay, I think what I'd like to do is probably work on doing an episode of maybe some foods that could be draining our energy, depleting our energy, and what foods we can eat and consume to boost our energy. So maybe I'll work on something like that. Not for the next podcast, but maybe the podcast of a few episodes. I don't know. I have to be in that mood, that writing mood. So again, I thank you all so much for tuning in. And again, stay safe, stay blessed, and be well. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for listening to Health Coach for Women with your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to rate, subscribe, and review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate that effort. Until next time.